Panasonic TX-40AX630. The problem with it is when you plug, and the only thing that happens is the LEDs start flashing very quickly, and then they go off and they come back on and they go very slowly. I'll just show you what I mean when I plug it in. I'm going to zoom in there to the LEDs. In the front. Get it to stay there. Okay. Flashing very quickly. And that's all it does. I was just waiting to see, is there any kind of a pattern, like it'll flash slowly, fast, or what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the back and have a look first and see what I can see. Check a few voltages and then go from there. I've had a look around for any bulging capacitors. Couldn't see any. Looked at the service manual. There's not much information in there for voltages. Maybe there is somewhere buried, but I'm not going to waste time at the moment. If I don't get anywhere, I'll study the service manual a little bit more. What I found here, this is a test point here for the LED drivers. What I found was by pressing and holding the standby button, you'll see if I hold it, it tries to come up and you see the backlights. I don't know if the camera caught it, but the backlights come up, flashed on and off, and there you can see them going again. Now from that, I'm not going to go any further with checking for voltage. I'm going to just strip down the panel and check the LEDs in the panel to see what which ones are gone and can I replace them, and can they be bought individually, or do you have to buy a whole strip? I'm not really going to go down to the how to strip down the actual LCD screen. There's a lot of videos out there. Really all I have to do is get off the bezel and see, take this T-control board here off, and there's normally two ribbon cables in there and here that we have to take out that connect to the screen. Lots of screws then that go around the side of the bezel. I'll get them out, and they look all the same size. Okay, they don't look too bad. I'll get them all out, take the bezel off, and then I'll get these way into the screen. It doesn't look like too difficult of a job to get the screen apart. Okay, let's have a look and first, before we check for voltages, what the symptom is. Show it plugged in. Press the standby button. And you can see it there. It came up and went off immediately. And I know there's a diode over here, right there. I have it marked here. That is actually gone there. I know that. But there's a few other got low outputs as well. But let's just do a few comparisons of what we have. We got two pins on this connector each on the board. Now let's press the standby button on that one. comes up to 15 volts, and you see it went back down, and it was up to 23 volts. Let's go on the cathode side. Let's see what happens. This is on the board with the faulty LED on it. You see it went up to 3.8 volts and then it's gone down. Let's do one here that we know that's good, right? See, can you get the turn back on again? 15 volts, and then went up to 40, I think. I'm not 100% sure. It was very quick. Let's do it again now on the cathode side. And you can see that went up to about 27 volts when the transistor switched off. It was only about 5 or 6 volts until it went into protection mode, and it shut off the transistor, and we've seen about 26 volts going through it. This PCB here is faulty. We have that one diode faulty on that board. I checked all the rest of them, and I'm just going to show you how I checked them, if we can get that done. As I have to leave shortly. I have a power supply. I got it set to 3 volts. I'm in the shot. I am in the shot, and there's little test points each side of each diode. You can see it lights up. That one there is okay, and that's okay. So let's go across this one here, the 41. Nothing. Okay. So each one of those is 3 volts. Let's see what we can do. What voltage the whole strip turn on it. I am going to bring this up to 15 volts and see what happens on a good one, right? Okay. Lights with 15 volts, and it's on the right, cathode on the left. See about this strip? No, nothing lighting that one. Lights okay. If you know what voltage your LEDs are, it's easy to, if you have a power supply, to get the whole strip to light up. I know each one of them lights up at each one lights up at 3 volts, so times 5 equals 15 volts. What I have to do next is get this strip off this panel, and it's stuck with tape. I'll have to use a heat gun to kind of soften it up a bit and try to get it off, and then I've got to remove this diode, and these diodes are very difficult to remove, as the back of this has a nut plane. It's a copper ground track, goes all across the back of that, and it takes the heat away from each diode, and then the heat then is transferred back into this metal housing on the back of the screen. Because these don't disperse the heat from them, the junction in the LED will heat up and destroy itself. It's important that they have to be mounted, and you have a proper thermal heat transfer from the PCB onto the rear screen. It's not, you don't just put these PCBs back in there loose and tape them in there. It's just roughly. You have to have a way of getting them back in, and that's my next problem. I don't have any proper double-sided tape that has proper heat transfer. But I might be able to save this a little bit if I use the right technique to get it off and get it back on again. We'll see. I'm not going to show that part with the heat gun. It just takes too long and it's messy. but I will show you the soldering of the diode. I should add also what I'm going to do as well. I'm going to check each one of those diodes at 3 volts. Let's go back down to 3 volts. And go around each one of those diodes and check how much current each one of them is drawing. That one there is drawing 140 milliamps. Now I'll come over to one over here. No, this one over here. And one over here that's not the best. This one here. But saying 170 milliamps now. Why, I don't know. And this one here is 120, 110 to 120. Of course, you got the contact resistance of your probes as well. That one there's 160. But I know I got one here that was reading fairly 130, 150, 160. If I come across one that's got low current draw on it, I will replace that as well, because that's an indication the LED is probably on its way out. We'll see. This is a close-up of the LED diode without its cover on it. As you can see, you can barely see it there in the center. And this is the LED diode that I have to replace it. It's not exactly the same, but it should work. In that place. This is one of an LG and this is a Panasonic, so I'm hoping that it'll work. I'm just going to put this aside for a minute and heat up my hot air station, and get going. I'll try put a bit of leaded solder in this now. Some of this crappy type of solder wick. I don't know where I got it from. Doesn't seem to work very well. Yeah, done the job this time. Let's stick a little bit of solder on there. Don't need that much. I don't think I'm getting that, am I? Yeah. You probably missed that then coming off. But all it was a diode melting if we didn't get it. We'll clean off. And what I'm seeing here is they're the opposite way around. had this before. That's the way they got to go like that, and see there's a large pad here. It should correspond to that, which it doesn't. Right hand pad is the anode from here to here, and you won't be able to see it lighting up, but let me just see, make sure it's correct, make sure I'm getting this right. Maybe I got it wrong. Okay, there it's lighting up like that. Oh god. You really need a third set of hands. Okay, let's see, can we see that now? That's my arrow on the right. Okay, as you see, I'm going to have to tear a bit of that off there, scrape a bit of that silk screen, I think that's what they call it, to give it about there. Customer wants their TV back now. I could wait for these components to come from China, and a month, 2 months down the road, or I can just do this and get the TV back up and running for them without them having to buy a whole new set. I would rather have the right components, but in this world that we're not supplying parts, you might be able to buy a whole strip for them, but the customer's not going to pay for you to replace all them strips. Some of that. Okay. Right, let's get a bit of flux on this and see can we get it on. I think I'm going to have to try a different method of getting it on though. I'm going to have to try and heat it from below. What I have to make sure is that doesn't go too far towards the left, otherwise it will short out the diode. It was never meant to be done like this. I'm going to remove the extra fine nozzle from the hot air gun. I'm heating this from below. Heat it up. And I'm going to check my diode to make sure it is working. Okay, that's working. Right. Try it in the TV now and see will it light up the TV. Or maybe I'll just go ahead and see, can I get the cover on? So you can line it up, and the way I do it, let's go in here. Do you see there, I can see the LED diode. Move it here, and it looks more like a kind of a star pattern with 4 legs coming out of it. But you see it's offset now to where it originally was, so that's where I'm going to have to put this. Otherwise there'll be a fairly noticeable, it would look like a torch shining in a bright spot. Sorry, it would look like a bright spot on a dark image. I'm not going to film the glue in that of them, but if you look again, I'll get you the other one, and you can see clearly there, you can see it's the same. Okay, I'm going to plug it in now and see will it actually work. I have the white reflector on the back, and as you can see, everything seems okay. The new LED I put in there is obviously a slight bit brighter than the rest, as it's a brand new one. It's probably giving out 100, it's probably drawn about 160 milliamps compared to the 120, 140 the rest of them are taking. So the rest have a bit of age in them. The brand new one will obviously be a little bit brighter. You're probably getting a bit of flicker on the screen there, but I can do nothing about that. I have the unit powered up. It's all put back together. The back is on. All the connections are put back in place, and as you see, the backlights are working. I have no problems with any bright spots on the LCD. Not as yet as I can notice it. I've been looking at this now for the past couple of hours, and it seems okay with the backlight. You should looking at different dark screens, bright screens, and I've not have noticed anything. There is a question mark over whether it is economical to do and how the reliability of the repair. As there are 50 diodes in it, I've only replaced two, I think two at the most. So it needs another 48 that have the same usage, and time will tell. I have done LCD before and they have not come back, but as you know yourself, if something goes faulty, sometimes people choose not to come back to you and you lose a customer. How much can you charge? It depends on your area. Some areas can get away with charging a little bit more than others. Here where I am, the maximum you could charge for an LCD repair is about €80, and that is not going to pay for your time taken to do this job and pay your overheads that a normal business would incur every day. So I'm not surprised a lot of repair shops are refuse these and put them down as BER, and I get them here just to get them back up and working, put them on YouTube, and for other people to look at and make their own decisions whether they want to do the repair or not. That's all for this repair, and thanks for watching.